In Africa, Kenya is the land of opportunity with everything that you need. A skilled workforce, modern amenities, housing, and of course, beautiful people. And when I came to Kenya for the first time, I was really shocked to see how modern and great Kenya was. Just like, in many ways, what I saw in America. But everybody doesn't have the same opportunity to enjoy Kenya, maybe as me or you. Some people who were born there may not have as much luck. And so where does that take you? Well, it could take you a few different places. Maybe somewhere in Africa, maybe all the way to Europe, or where? Stop the show. Saudi Arabia? Saudi Arabia. That's right. Rewind! See, most of y'all don't know that the largest employer of many of these African countries abroad is Saudi Arabia. Uganda is the same thing. Uganda sends most of its people, mainly women, to work in Saudi Arabia, not the UAE. For Kenya, it has to be, if it's not the number one destination, it's the number 2 destination. And this is where we get our story today with Mr. Stephen Maho. Now, this was a man that left Kenya to go seek another opportunity. Obviously, it was hard for him to get employed in Kenya. So he went to Saudi Arabia. Unfortunately, in 2011, he got into an altercation with a man from Yemen. Now, when that altercation happened, the man from Yemen died. So he was charged with manslaughter. He got 5 years in prison. But his family thought that what happened to him was incorrect. They felt that the other person started this fight. So they appealed. But the problem was the Sharia court said, wait a minute, not only is he more guilty than what we thought, he's going to be upgraded from manslaughter to death. Fast forward. Now this is where things are going to get a little sad. He has a mother by the name of Dorothy Kweyu. And Miss Dorothy is asking for a favor. She needs to raise $923,000 in 10 days. But why? Because there's a way that her son's life can be spared. If they are to pay this family, which has a price of $923,000, well, they'll let the son go free. But if they don't, he will die in about 10 days. Now, let's kind of go back into what really happened also. You see, when the man from Yemen died, he had a son, but the son was still young. So the reason why this man didn't die right away was because they wanted his son to become of age to make a decision. So once he did, the decision was, all right, give me this amount of money for my father's death, and then I'll let your life be spared. It didn't happen. But I've talked about Saudi Arabia on this channel. I had a very beautiful young lady by the name of Posha256. She's a TikToker and a content creator. She worked in Saudi Arabia for 2 years. And she talked about the mistreatment that Africans get in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. And let me tell you something. If you're to go that side to work, you have to know one thing. That you're out there, you're alone, and you're God. It's you and your God. Mm-hmm. You can die from there, and you can come back safe. Mm-hmm. So it's two-way.
Mm-hmm. Do Ugandans die in Saudi Arabia?
Of course they do. Not 1, not 2, not 20, not 30. Hundreds of them.
They die?
Yeah.
A lot?
Yes.
A lot of the girls?
And they bring them back here in coffins.
Dead body.
Yeah.
How do they die?
They kill them, let me say. And these ladies out there, the Arabians, they're really tough when it comes to their men.
Oh.
Okay? Even if it was the man who came and approached you, who came and started to
Touch you.
touch you, but touches you, it doesn't matter to them. By the time the lady finds out that you sleep with the man, trust me, you're dead.
Now, even though this is in Saudi Arabia, it has happened to even African Americans in the UAE. Mistreatment for small things like this can get any black locked up.
An American TikTok star who's been stuck in Dubai for months after getting arrested reportedly for shouting. We're talking about Tiara Young Allen. She's from Texas. People online know her as the sassy trucker. She talks a lot about life as a woman in the trucking business. A for-hire advocacy group for people held in Dubai says Allen went there in April. She'd been posting some videos about it. And then later that month, apparently got into a car crash in a rental. There was some kind of an altercation, they say, and she was charged with yelling at a worker at the rental agency, something that could violate free speech laws, or speech laws, I should say, in the UAE. We've reached out to them for comment, but haven't heard back. The Dubai police did tell the Associated Press, I'm going to read you what you see on screen, that the individual was questioned as per legal procedures and subsequently released pending the resolution of ongoing legal proceedings between her and the car rental office. She apparently still has not been able to leave the country.
Now I want to bring it back home to the point, and hopefully they're able to spare his life. He can come back to Kenya, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. But the question is, why is a talented man like him leaving Kenya, going into the diaspora to Saudi Arabia? I don't know how many horror stories I have heard or seen from some black woman or black man living in Dubai, Oman, Saudi Arabia, or any place like that. You always hear so many negative things, especially from women. But now what we're talking about is men. So a lot of times African men may be bullied in these places and people may try to cause harm to them. So even by merely defending yourself, you're in a lot of trouble. Don't get it twisted. If you go to Dubai, I've been there twice. It's a beautiful place. It's a lot to offer. But you also got to remember, you're black and it's their word against yours. And if an Arab or a Muslim is saying that you did X, Y, and Z, well, even though the guy is from Yemen, he's still an Arab in comparison to you who are black. You have to be on your P's and Q's when you're over there, even when they're the ones in the wrong. And that's what happens in Dubai, it happens in Abu Dhabi, it happens in Saudi Arabia, it happens in Oman. And the reason why that's happening in the first place is because we have failed to develop opportunities for people on the continent of Africa. Now, Kenya has done a lot better than most, but listen, these things can be better. All the time in Uganda, when I fly out of Entebbe, I see a lot of ladies going from Entebbe to somewhere in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia as maids or wherever they're going. But I know for a fact they're going to the Middle East. And who's to say how they're going to treat you over there? And the reason why they treat Africans the way they do, because they feel like, what's your recourse? You don't have anything to do at home and nobody's going to help you. Just like this man here. If he dies in Saudi Arabia's custody, they're betting on the fact that, well, Kenya's still going to send their people over here. What are they going to do about it? You know what? They might be right. So guys, what do you think? It's your boy, Shady Jackson. Back at it again. Another episode here of Fair Use. I'm out.